to bring up the concussion issue once again, but their big story in Nova Scotia this week, one high school football game, 9 concussions. They had to stop the game because it was 35-0, and teams were running out of players. Now the Nova Scotia government is getting involved in this specific case because of the fact that 9 players were diagnosed with concussion symptoms after that football game. Yeah. Is that going to hurt our sport?
You know what? I didn't really have a time to look into that story and read it, but from what I did read, the opponent coach, the team that they were playing, said that they were just simply not prepared. They were poorly coached. They hadn't practiced safe tackling. There's a lot of factors. I don't really have any interest in getting involved with it because I think a lot of people try to jump on this concussion issue and talk about it and make it bigger than it is. So let's move on.
There you go. You've heard it right from the horse's mouth. So we're not going to talk about that, but we are going to talk about things heating up. As the weather cools down in October, it's football season now. So we've got a lot of races in the NCAFA. We've got CFL. We've got university football heating up, and that's something that's close to your heart.
Absolutely. I saw, I think Carleton beat U of T this weekend. Ottawa U looks to be pretty strong. I think they could do some damage in the playoffs. Obviously, Western's undefeated. I've said this before. I think Western they're going to choke. I say it publicly. I just think that they just repeatedly don't get the job done. But McMaster's right on their heels, and Guelph just won a big game against Laurier. So super competitive in the OUA. Haven't really checked out the RSCQ.
Ottawa beat Waterloo last weekend, or was it Queens?
Waterloo.
Okay.
Yeah, and the Warriors have had a real comeback turnaround season. They're competitive and relative in the OUA for the first time in probably 20 years or so. A player that I played with at McMaster was our quarterback until Adam Archibald came from Frontenac and Kingston to become the number one guy there. But John went on to coach with McMaster for many years, won a Vanier in 2011. He joined the Waterloo staff, and I think part of it is having some winning culture around Batoya, and it's certainly worked. It's good to see, and they've got some slick-looking uniforms. They look good out there.
How important is that to have that, to bring in somebody with that winning attitude to a program where the season is so short? They only play 8 games.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important in a lot of things. I think leadership and also just having somebody with a clear vision of and being able to rally people around a common vision. Steve and I were just talking about this the other day. Goal setting has been said to be the most important skill in life and success. And there's not actually, if you think about it, there's not one course throughout the time that we go to school, from kindergarten through to university, that actually is mandatory goal setting course. I think it's crazy. And I think when you talk about sports, which this show is all about football, having a coach that comes in and sets some clear goals and
is it important to set attainable goals or to reach for the sky?
Well, the literature that I've read is about setting them as high as you can, but then also breaking them down into mini goals that are realistic and attainable. Because sometimes if you set a goal that's too far out, you'll just get bored of it because you don't see any kind of movement towards it. That's tangible signs that you're getting closer to that. So they say to break those little goals down, but I think the leadership and having guys that have had success and won a Vanier, being around there, they have a different mindset. They know it's possible, and when they set that goal and they say, "Oh yeah, we've done it before. It's possible." People listen, and sometimes if you come from a program that's lost for 20 years, you can't shake that very easily. No matter how much you tell yourself, "Well, we have the possibility of winning a Vanier."
The motivation might be as simple as just seeing a ring.
Yep. Yeah, if you're into the jewelry, then
Well, I mean, it's something that nobody will be able to take away from you for the rest of your life. And in 1975 or 73-74 NHL season, going into Game 6 of the final between the Boston Bruins and the Philadelphia Flyers, Fred Shero, who was then the coach of the Flyers wrote on the whiteboard in their dressing room, "Win today, and we walk together forever."
I like it. That's epic. If that doesn't rattle your bones and get you excited as a player, then the cliche line is, "I don't know what will." But it's true. I would have loved to win a Vanier. I was one game away 2 years in a row, and
Yates Cup.
Yeah, we in 02 we beat Queens, and then we lost to St. Mary's, and that was definitely a winnable game.
Was that the UTEC Bowl or the Yates?
I think the UTEC was we hosted St. Mary's in 02. They came, and it was a frigid day, and that was my first year, and I saw Kojo Adu, who was a record-breaking running back for Mac back in the day. He was in his final year. He sustained like a broken leg at a movie shoot or something, but he was invited to the Shrine Bowl. People were talking about NFL for this guy, and he was basically out the whole year, but he came back for that game, and we got to see Kojo play in real life. And he stepped in as a fullback for Jesse Lumsden, who was in his second year at that time. And watching those guys,
what a beast!
I honestly, like, when I stepped into university football and I watched Kojo block for Jesse Lumsden, I was like, and it was Benaventura, the middle linebacker for St. Mary's at the time, went on, played in CFL for a long time. Those guys meeting in the hole, I was like, okay, this is big boy, this is adult football now.
Right.
For the first time I looked at it and I said, this is the real deal. So Tyler McLaren, who started HESN with me many years ago, he said that in training camp, the first time that Kojo took a handoff from him because he was a quarterback, he was getting reps. Kojo almost ripped his arm out of his socket when he took the ball. So university football in Canada is great. It's no joke.
And things are heating up now. Just as we speak, October, they play their game after the Grey Cup. Their Vanier Cup. The Vanier Cup is a week after the Grey Cup. Used to play it.
Yeah, same day. Skydome.
Not the same day.
Oh,
the day before.
Yeah. I like that format in Toronto with the Skydome when they hosted the Vanier there. I think it was important for them to move it around, though. I like that decision where they've started to bid out the Vanier. And last year that UBC, 2 years ago, UBC won in Laval. And that looked like the production value of that Vanier Cup to me was like, it's arrived. Like that game is on par with the NFL and CFL right now.
You think so?
Well, I mean, maybe not the NFL, like that's a stretch, but they had everything. They had a halftime band play. They had the lights. They had the podium. The production value on, I think it was CTV or whoever was doing it, Global was doing the production. They had ex-CIS players like Andy Beckler and some of the guys that used to be on the Score. They're there reporting on the game, and that's what I want to see as an OUA and a university like alumni and fan. I want to see guys that played in the game, some of these names being involved in the production, and guys that like live and breathe and bleed OUA football. I want to see that. You
talked about the success that the University of Ottawa is having this season. What happened to Carleton?
Well, I mean, it's tough. It's a very competitive division. So I think everyone,
Great Panda.
I think everyone assumed that like Carleton year 1 would be bad. Year 2 they'd be a little bit better. They'd make the playoffs. Year 3 they'd win a Yates Cup in 4 or 5. I mean, why did we really think that was a natural progression? Like, you didn't think that was it going to be A to B, C to D, like, or is there going to be a year or two that they flop? And I think we're seeing just the loss of Jesse Mills, their quarterback.
Well, it's the skill positions.
Nate Bahar, who is by far like one of the most electrifying and consistent players in the OUA for many years, and Tunde Aleki. Like, even just those 3 guys, and we could go on and name about 10 other guys they lost that were impact players.
Nathaniel Hamlin.
Yeah, so his brother plays in the league, and he's really good.
Arthur,
yeah.
Well, their dad, Jeff, was football coach at my high school and my gym teacher at Rideau High School in the 70s. He is a former CFLer as well. He played at North Carolina. He's a Tar Heel. Yep. And then he played a couple of seasons in Winnipeg before he became an Nepean police officer,
nice.
Of all things, and didn't like that. So got into the teaching profession and retired after a 28 or 29-year career as the head football coach and phys ed department head at Gloucester High School.
Good for him. Right on.
Yeah, good guy too.
Is he still around? And
he's coaching at St. FX.
He's coaching, okay.
Yeah, he was coaching Arthur at St. FX in the high school ranks, and Arthur opted to play high school instead of in CAFA. Now, that was a year ago, so I don't know whether or not...
I don't know where he is right now. It would be fun to see him play, but, you know...
And there's a kid that played AAA hockey, and after Bantam, major Bantam, he decided, I don't want to play hockey anymore. I want to concentrate on football. I guess he saw his big brother Nate doing some really good stuff and wanted to emulate him.
For sure. I mean...
Where your murder in the beat.